Good morning, everybody. All right. Thank you for your patience. Oh my goodness. I was about to go live, and then my computer just didn't want to show any of my screens, so I would have been able to say hi to you guys and everything, but I wouldn't have been able to show you guys any of the drawings that we were doing, or any of the screens or anything. So that wouldn't have been that fun. So got it figured out. I had to restart everything. I will make sure that we are way more set up for next episode. Thank you guys for waiting. Obviously, I'm going to stay a little bit later to finish off everything that we wanted to do, so we'll end at 11:30 instead of 11. Zoe, I saw that you're going to have to do your other class at 11. I'm so sorry. We'll be able to do one of the Broadway shows, though, okay? So we'll be able to do one, and then we can do the other one later when you finish with the other class. All right. Now, here we go. Now, our morning game plan for today is we're going to do an art review, we're going to do our quote of the day, then we're going to look at Wicked, then we're going to take a karate break, and then we're going to do The Lion King, then we're going to do our challenge of the day, and then our morning mail, and then I'll send you guys off. Hi, guys. All right, so these drawings, some of them were from previous classes. We have a drawing from Sarah, which is a Little Mermaid drawing, which I love. It's very sketchy and rough. It's really cool. It looks, I like the looseness that you have in it. That's good. Zoe did an awesome job where she did herself as an ogre, and she gave it a lot of funny, cool names too, which I kind of don't remember. I think it was like Zoger or something like that was one of them. And but I really like it too. I like how you made your hair kind of more jaggedy, and your nose bigger, and your teeth yellower. You did a lot of all the little details, so I love it. Very nice. And then Mateo did some awesome mercats too, which is, I guess, is like a different take on a catfish, which is kind of funny. Very nice job, guys. Very nice job. If you guys want to send any of your stuff, you can always send it to me at noahfontaine@gmail.com, and I'll check it out, and I'll include it in next class. All right, so today's quote of the day comes from Susan Hilferty. She did a lot of the costume designs for, she ran the costume designs for Wicked, but she also did things for different plays and shows. She did one for Adam Driver's Broadway show. She did one for Jake Gyllenhaal's. She did one for Neil Patrick Harris. She worked with a lot of other people on redesigning all of these shows on Broadway, and she's very, very talented. You can check out her website too, just by typing in her name.com, and you can see videos of her walking through the rooms of all the costumes, which is really cool. Here are some of her drawings that she did for Wicked, and she said, in terms of Wicked, she said, "It was my responsibility to create a culture, not just clothes, because everything we wear is connected to our culture," which I thought was a really cool quote for today, because our culture is changing by what we're wearing very drastically in just a very short span of time. Now everyone's wearing masks, people are wearing plastic gloves, and it's totally changed how our culture is dressing. A lot of people are wearing more like pajamas to work, or they're wearing a lot of workout clothes when they go out, just because they're getting in a lot of exercise outside of the gym, which is really kind of cool. But it's definitely changed our culture right now. So if we look back on this time, I'm sure we'll have a quarantine Halloween costume or something like that, where you can dress up and it looks just like flannel pajama pants and a mask. So I think that was really cool. Yeah, so let's take a moment to slow down. As you take a breath, close your eyes, breathe in through your nose, and out through your mouth, and just think about what you're wearing right now. There's a saying Mark Twain and William Shakespeare used that states, "The clothes make the man." Much like Susan said, the clothes we wear are part of our culture, and which means that they're a part of us. So, thinking about the clothes that you're wearing right now, I'm wearing my onesie and a hat. What are your clothes saying about you today? How are you expressing the way that you see yourself through your clothes? Or what is the use of your clothes? Are you wearing them more because it's just a practical, they're very comfortable, or if you're going to the gym and you're wearing workout clothes, it's for a function. And as we move on to the next portion of this class, let's consider all the different things that clothes can say about a character and draw those out. Okay, so we're going to start with Wicked, and here we go. All right, so how many of you in the comments, let me know, have heard anything about Wicked? How many of you have been to a Wicked show? Let me know in the comments what you guys know in regards to Wicked. I'm going to go into a little bit of the costume design right now. So the costume design, this was the woman, Susan. She designed these costumes. And when she was doing that, she was trying to pick from a very specific era. And the era was called, let me show you right here, the Edwardian era. Now, the Edwardian era was a time where you can see like this woman with her clothes, very like tight dresses, very slim fit, and then also big hats, which kind of worked perfectly. And this was actually around the time when the Wizard of Oz was actually written, so she figured that would be a cool connection to the original book and the original script of the story. Now, in these clothes, you could see she did a lot of similarities with the way it was cut, with the way that it was used, but she also incorporated a lot of green because all of the characters, I think, needed to have a little bit of green in them, especially with the Emerald City. Oh, you watched it on YouTube. Very cool. Never heard of Wicked. Okay, so for Wicked, as we get into the characters now, Wicked is about Elphaba, and she is the Wicked Witch of the West, I believe. And the story is how her and Glinda, the Good Witch, which you can see right here, Glinda the Good Witch, met. Now, Elphaba in this story, she was actually not a bad witch. She was just, they were both witches, and one was a good witch, one was a bad witch. But in this story, they met in college, or they were, I think, friends from even younger, and they were just two different people, and they became really good friends. And through a whole like chaotic mess of circumstances, Elphaba, the Green Witch, the Wicked Witch of the West, gets misinterpreted. People think that she's evil, and she gets into trouble, and then she's actually really talented as a witch, but that talent kind of attracts the wrong kind of people, and then she gets into a whole mess of trouble. So she becomes the Wicked Witch of the West by default, but it wasn't because she was inherently bad. It was because like society kind of kicked her out, and she became an outcast because of that. It's really cool. You can definitely listen to Susan talk more about the costumes if you're into this kind of stuff. She talks about how for Elphaba's costume, it does have a lot of color to it. So it's not just black, but it also has a lot of like mixed matched layers to it, and feels like it was almost made from earth, because she said that she wanted Elphaba to feel very grounded and very secure, but it was also very asymmetrical. So it wasn't, so her hat kind of flips up one way, her shoulder pads are going up and down like that. And because that just shows that she doesn't go fit along with the mainstream of everything else that's going. She's not just like basic and symmetrical. And the earthly tones and the kind of like the way it looks like almost rocks that are put together. If you were to slice a chunk out of the earth into a rock, that was her thinking for creating this kind of black dressed character. Now Glinda, on the other hand, this was the dress that was very, very much like fashion forward for that time in the 1911 when the book was written. This dress is very symmetrical, very bubbly, because in the book it describes her kind of flying through the air and being very flighty and kind of up in the clouds. And so they wanted to give that element to her dress. So if you look at her, she's very bubbly. She's very kind of like not grounded, like Elphaba, the Green Witch. And so they created that kind of character. But if you look, her shoulder pads and her dress are very symmetrical. So if you cut it down the middle, you can see each side looks very similar. And that's also her character. Her character is a little bit more flighty. She kind of goes with the flows of fashion, and she doesn't have that grounding of character that Elphaba has. Now I found these really cool drawings of Elphaba done by one of the character designers, Minky Yu, and that's his name. And he did these drawings. He works for Disney and he does character designs for them, but he did these drawings as a study for an animated version of this show. And so I figured this would be a good transition for us because we're going to be doing some fashion drawings too. So these are really cool. You could look these up too and see a lot more of them. Here we go. And he also did Glinda, which I didn't realize, but her name was actually Galinda, and then she changed it for a guy because that was supposed to give her more attention. So she changed it to Glinda. And so she's supposed to be the good witch. There you go. Now, I was thinking it would be really cool for us to try to draw Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, but to draw her in modern day clothes. I've liked trying to make things modern and current. So let's see if what we can do with her character, we can make it into a modern day drawing. All right, so I'm going to hide this part. And I looked up a bunch of different references for the kind of character that she was. She's very, here we go. She became kind of like the rebel, but not for any particular reason, just because the rest of the world was kind of crazy. And so that made her the outcast, so I picked the actress from Freaks and Geeks because she kind of has that similar mindset where she was very, very smart. She's not trying to be rebellious or anything, but she ends up kind of being a rebel because she doesn't agree with how the rest of the world is working and running in the system of the world. So she becomes a rebel by default. She also wears a lot of green too, and dark colors, which works perfectly because that's Elphaba. And then I just looked up some extra pictures of style references and clothes references for a character. I definitely needed to have her wear a hat, but I gave her a little bit more modern twist to one. Kept the green, but made it more like a camo because that's a little bit more what people wear these days. And then some ripped jeans and some boots because Elphaba is very like solid. She's firmly planted in the ground, and I felt like high heels seem much more delicate and kind of like you're trying to like be separate from the ground. So these boots seem very like grounded and very just like tough and hardy, and that's kind of who she is. She's a very like tough person. Okay, so let's draw this out. Okay, so we'll start. I'm just gonna get us a rough layout. Let me see. I think I'm gonna take the pose from the legs. But also the boots. We're just gonna sketch out a rough kind of drawing. Just to kind of get the mood. There we go. So it's a mix between these legs and then these boots is what we're doing right now. And this is how I would go into doing character designs. You start to mix and match different things. You look up a lot of references. And you start to piece your character together little by little. Yep. Yeah. Not Doc Martians. I think that's what those are. All right, let's see what else we got. All right. we'll kind of keep her shoulders at an angle too. Um, that gives the character that we're drawing more makes it more interesting, but it also creates that off balance, that off kilter that we wanted, that we saw that Susan, the costume designer, did too. I think having the sleeves rolled up show that she's um, willing to get her hands dirty. She does a lot of the. She's like willing to go and do the work herself. Same with like these boots and the ripped jeans. She's not really too worried about looking totally neat all the time. And that's the same thing with the character from Freaks and Geeks. She also is like really, really smart, and is more interested in having balance between it all instead of things always being perfect. I think I want her face facing forwards, more like this character, but I'm going to try to use this hat. We'll see. I'm trying to make this not look like a cowboy hat. I think I've drawn way more cowboy hats. There we go. All right. There we go. I think her shoulders may look a little bit too angular. It almost looks like she's doing a pose, and we don't want that. And again, keeping it super loose and sketchy right now. Just roughing it all in. All right. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to lighten this one up a little bit. I'm going to start drawing with some colors. Let's start with some green. And we can still give her another green face if we want, sticking with that theme. From last week where we were drawing all the green faces. All right. How are you guys doing with these drawings? But everything else about it is going to be totally modern. Alright, now let's do some of that black. Now I like to use not like a real black, it's almost like a blue black. Actually in this case we should make it more like a green black. Because when you use black, that's what they call as a dead color. It just doesn't have a whole lot of life to it, as opposed to other colors. Like just very, very dark versions of other colors. And we'll make the hat look a little bit less smaller. This is Procreate. Yes, I'm using Procreate right now. I'm not sure if it's the 5. I just try to keep it updated. And right now this is the Inka brush in the inking section. I think it should just come naturally with your whatever if you buy Procreate. And right now with these drawings, with fashion drawings, you're actually trying to capture more of a mood and like the details in the clothes. I have a friend, he works in fashion, and he was telling me some of those tips because we were doing some fashion drawings together. And he was saying that those are the details that you really want to capture more than anything. It doesn't have to look like even anatomically correct, but it has to look more the details of like the buttons and the folds and the creases and the tatters and where it's worn in and everything. That's what you want to capture with the clothes. The mood will come. The mood is included in that too. So it's just kind of changing the focus a little bit instead of trying to make it look exactly like a real realistic, exactly. You know, it's not so much about looking realistic. We'll give her like a greenish gray shirt underneath. Here we go. Now let's pull from this to make that color camo. There we go. Okay, we're almost ready to stop soon, so we're going to try to finish this up quick. Cool. I heard too. So with that drawing, those drawings that I said that Disney creator drew of Alphabet, these ones right here. They were actually really considering doing an animated version, but then when Frozen came out and they also used Indina Menzel to do the voice of Elsa, they realized that those were like kind of really similar stories. So there's a good chance that that's probably why they didn't do an animated version of this show, of this play, because it's almost like very similar to Wicked. But two sisters or like two girls that are very close to each other. Right, let's add some more of this camo in. I'm using all different shades of green for these characters, just to keep with the emerald kind of city kind of thing. And even with the camo, like, I'm just trying to get the feeling of the camouflage without worrying about the actual details of what those look like. I think the brown will really tie it all in. Camouflage. So it's almost like you want to be able to look at it at a glance and then feel it, as opposed to staring at it and looking at all those details. Okay, now let's do her hair too. I think her hair is just black. You can go and do a little of the details in the face, but just really kind of loose. And I like this Inca pen because it keeps me. Okay, bye Sarah. Bye Zoe. We'll see you next time. I like doing this brush because it keeps me from doing a lot of details, especially at this stage. We're just supposed to be drawing the kind of vibe. All right, we're gonna pause it right there. Let's go on to the karate. How'd you guys do drawing Elsa? Here's a final version of her. For right now, I think it looks like pretty cool as far as a good mix of all these different things, all these different modern touches that we were able to add to it. Okay, there we go. And let's take our karate break right now. So if you guys need to, grab some water, drink some water, and we're going to start with our stretches. So stretch your arm to the left, good. Stretch your arm to the right. Oops, there we go. Stretch your arm over your head like this. Yours is a super small head. That's okay. That's very like normal for a fashion drawing. Jet, having the small head kind of elongates the body, makes the body feel longer. All right, spin your neck around, twist it around, good, like that. And around the other way. Good, left and right. All right, how many of you in the comments, let me know, how many of you know or remember the Combat 1 that we were practicing last week? We did a couple of the moves. I think we did all the way to the end, and it was a lot of fun. Let's see what you guys remember. Okay, so we do ready stance with your hands just shoulder width apart, like this, right here, shoulder distance apart. Like a pea with clothes on. That's so funny. All right, then fighting stance. So fighting stance. Okay, you put your right foot back, left foot forwards, and bend your left knee just so that you can't see your toes anymore. Now also make sure that your feet are kind of separated apart like this. So if your feet are right in front of the other one, it's almost like you're walking on a tightrope. I don't think you'll be able to see my feet. Uh, but yeah, so you want your feet to be significantly spread out about where your hips are, and then that should be good. Because that way you won't feel unbalanced. The fighting stance should be a very balanced stance. They say this for everything in martial arts and karate, that if you don't have a good stance, if you don't have a good solid base, you're going to be flown all around. Kind of like Alphaba, like she's very grounded. So even though things around her are going crazy, she still can withstand it all because she has such a solid base, a solid grounding. So with just like with us, we're going to make sure our solid base is good. So kind of make yourself feel solid. There we go. All right. So combat 1, ready? We start off, put your hands up like this, and we start off with 1, right front kick, step forward. Okay, so now your right foot is in front, and your left foot is behind. I'm going to switch this way. Okay, 2, right rising block. Good, just like that. 3, left straight punch. 4, left front kick, step forward. There we go. 5, parry, spear hand, just like that. Okay, so again, 1, right front kick, step forward. 2, right rising block. 3, left straight punch. 4, left front kick, step forward. 5, parry, spear hand. And you parry with your right hand and you spear hand with your left hand. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to practice this one a little bit more today. Then we're going to play some Sensei Says and move on to the next drawing. Next episode on Thursday, we're going to do Combat 1 backwards, okay? So we'll be able to compare up the two. So if you have a karate buddy that you're able to do this with, try to teach them Combat 1 forwards in between now and Thursday. Okay. The main character's name is Alphaba. I think you got it right, except for ELPHABA, I believe. And yeah, definitely looking messy. Works for the character. Do you see her? The way that she made her costume is all very messy. Okay, here we go. So, one more time. 1. And I'm going to give you guys a second to try to see if you can do the move before I say it out loud. So, 1. Right front kick, step forward. 2. Right rising block. 3. Left straight punch. 4. Left front kick, step forward. 5. Parry, spear hand. Remember, parry with your right hand, spear hand with your left hand. Okay, good. Now, everybody sit down in your horse riding stance. Good. Okay. Keep your hands right here. Let's play some Sensei Says. Let's do 3 rounds. Let's see if I can get you guys out with 3 rounds. Okay. Ready. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says front kick. Hua! Sensei says front kick. Hua! Again, good. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says rising block. Sensei says down block. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says spear hand. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says down block. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says straight punch. All right. I don't think I would be surprised if I got you guys out on that one. That was pretty slow. I mean, you guys are usually pretty good at this. Let's go one more speed faster. Water's good. Okay. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says spear hand. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says down block. Sensei says rising block. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says spear hand. Sensei says down block. Sensei says down block. Middle block. Okay. All right, let me know if I got any of you with that one. Now we're going like super speed round. We're going to go really fast, and this is going to be our last round. So I'm going to try really hard to get you guys out. Okay, ready? And now, also remember, we're starting in a horse riding stance. You got to sit down like you're riding on a horse. Okay, just like this. Okay, and let me make this camera nice and big so you guys can see. Okay, there we go. Ready? In your horse riding stance. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says down block. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says cross block. Sensei says rising block. Sensei says spear hand. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says cross block. Sensei says cross block. Sensei says cross block. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says down block. Front kick. Huh? Did I get any of you? Let me know in the comments if I got you guys out with that one. We're going to switch just because I want to make sure we get plenty of time to do for our next round of drawings, which is The Lion King. Okay, this one I'm very excited for. Whew, man, catching my breath. Okay, make sure you guys are drinking your water. Make sure you guys catch your breath. Make sure nobody's passing out or falling off of their chairs. All right, and here we go. So, for The Lion King, this one was a really cool challenge for when they, from the research that I did. 2 and 3, I got you. Nice, Jet. Now, what was really cool about these costumes for The Lion King on Broadway was how mechanical they were and how practical, like how useful the actual mechanics were of it. They were very interactive. They weren't just clothes that they put on, but they were almost like puppets too. Okay, Isabella's still in. I didn't get you. So they used this thing called an ideograph, which is, oops, and I spelled that wrong too. Here we go. Okay, ideograph. Get rid of that last A at the end. An ideograph is when you use one image that defines like a word or an idea, but it's actually not spelling out the word itself. So that would be like they said that like Chinese letters or kind of symbols or are forms of ideographs, or even numbers as an ideograph. Now they used this for The Lion King when they designed Mufasa and Simba. Mufasa is obviously like the sun. He says whatever the sun touches, that's what I am in charge of, and that's been passed on to Simba. So if you look at the way they created the mask, it's very like symmetrical, but it's also, creates a very balanced feel, but it's also like radial, so it's more like a sun and circle where it's all shooting out from all the different angles, and you can see that in both of their masks. So here's Simba. This is the drawing of Mufasa and Scar. You can see how his does not have the sun. And then this is Mufasa's character. And this is from the original Lion King Broadway when they first went on. Now, other characters did not have these kind of symmetry or those kind of shapes. For example, Timon, the meerkat, right here, his character was fully a puppet. So the actual actor wasn't even dressed up as the character at all, but his feet were attached to Timon's feet, and he had sticks for his hands, and then he also had a hand in his head as to like use to make his mouth move, I believe, or maybe just make it tilt. Now, with Timon, they used like a Japanese kind of form of puppetry where you're not actually connected to the puppet with your whole body, but you're using your hands to move it around. And that was because Timon was very fast and had to move around very fast. So it's a lot easier to move your hands around than it is for you to actually move your whole body around. Pumbaa, on the other hand, Pumbaa, his whole character is like based around his stomach and that he's like always hungry. So they wanted to make the puppet go around and fit around the actor's stomach, and feel like that's where his whole like core lies, and that was really cool. And so you can see his feet going out behind him, and the actor's legs are Pumbaa's front legs, and then you can't see his hands at all because he doesn't have any extra hands. And what's cool is that all these, all the little details in these characters, while they were making them using all these different influences, they actually kept true to the style of like African art with like the different textures and the different symbols on them. Now there's also Zazu, the bird, and Zazu is supposed to be almost like a butler, and kind of like the assistant, the aide. So the actor has kind of like a butler-ish mixed in with like the African American like style of of patterns on the jackets and the way it's broken up into pieces. Um, and he has him on his hat so that way he can fly around and move him a little bit more freely because he is supposed to be fast too. Um, but even like the actor has like the tail feathers coming out of the back of his suit, like a typical like one of those suits would have, and that's supposed to be interpretive of the Zazu's tail feathers because he's a bird. Now, the puppets and the masks were really, really influential and really, really leaps and jumps forwards in what they can do. But what was really cool too was the backgrounds. So here we have these amazing different scenes and the background characters and how they were able to make these happen. So if you look, this was the sketch of a person having an antelope on its head and one on its hands, and so it can move as it was like running like this, and it can make it look like the antelopes were running along with it, but it looked like it was a whole herd. So if you look in the background, these are 3 people, but it looks like a whole herd of antelopes, which is really cool. And even the people's legs kind of add to that shape of the antelope. Here are some of the other animals that they made. You can see how they did a cheetah. That way, the reason they had the cheetah like that was so that the cheetah could rear up really, really tall and kind of do like when they do the bow and everything for Simba being born and becoming like the prince. So they wanted to have the cheetah be able to move like that very fast. They also created, these are people inside these giraffes. So if you look, the head is right here. I'll show you. Okay, so this is the head right there. This is the body. These are the arms. And then here are the legs. Like that in the person. And then that's how they were able to create giraffes that look so, so tall like that. You could also see this guy is 2 people are the rhinos because the rhinos are so big. You also have more of the antelope in the background. You have cheetahs, you have birds. And they were able to create a whole lot of animals just based off of like costumes and using different kind of mechanics to do puppets, which is really cool. So today's challenge for this part of the drawing section is how can we draw our own animal puppet. So if you were to be an animal, like if we were to interpret you as an animal, what animal would you be? And how can we make you into a puppet that would actually be functional and like catch the essence of the character? So for me, since I have 2 tortoises, I figured I'd do a tortoise. And we're going to try to make a better puppet, a better costume for me to wear, or like an actor to wear, than this guy. But so let's try it out. So I did some research. I pulled up some pictures of reference of the puppets. Let's see. And I started off with a little sketch. I'm going to draw it again on top of it just so you guys can see. There we go. Okay. So I'm looking at the puppets. Not the puppets. I'm looking at the tortoises. Yes. Yeah. It looks like as well. Yeah. That the people on the giraffes were wearing kind of like stilts on their hands and on their feet, and they were like leaning forwards. So almost as if they were crawling on their hands and knees, except they just had stilts on their hands and feet. So I'm looking at the tortoises. What's really cool, I mean, obviously they have their shell, and that's got to be a big part of the costume design. But they also have these claws that come in. So like if you close your fist like this, or if they do it like that, it creates like a full wall in front of their whole faces. So we have to, I think I would want to be able to include that into it. Also, what's kind of interesting is their neck. You see how this guy's neck, it like telescopes out, but then if he wants to, they can suck it back in. Maybe we can include that in some way in the drawing. Okay. So let's see. I always like to start with the face. I think those kind of like newsy hats will work very good for a tortoise character. Just even not even that it's like it looks like a tortoise as much, but also I mean it kind of does I feel like, but it also has that vibe of being kind of like shadowed and covered, which I think is very tortoisey. Okay, let's see. So here's the arm. Now let's see, we can include maybe a big puppet hand almost. Like that. Maybe with like a claw. I think the claw is too aggressive. There we go. And then these could hopefully, almost like goalie pad shields. Let's look that up. Let's see what's. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like the legs, that's what I would definitely want. Yeah, something like that. Because I always thought that was really cool how the goalie pads, when the legs like close together like that, it would just create a full wall. And of course, we can make these look a little bit more like a turtle by giving them some like scales. Now, for your character, you don't have to be doing a tortoise. I'm just showing you how I would work through these kind of steps. And I definitely have some kind of like tortoise shoe feet, like big tortoise feet. Like that. With the strap, let's see if we can. See if we can do a whole shell. I was thinking we could even do it like a hard hat kind of look for the head, but I think that seems more seems less turtly. It seems more like something you'd want to use for like a dinosaur or something like that. Whereas turtles are so like peaceful. I think having like this soft hat works better. And he would hold on to it. The character who would be wearing this would hold on to this almost like the Captain America shield. There we go, like this. And that's the other arm. Okay, now the only thing that we didn't do in this picture is we didn't do the telescoping neck. So I would want to have that included in some way. So let's see, if we were to change this neck, and make it telescope out. maybe there's some kind of mechanic that we can do on top of it. And I'm not sure. And I remember reading, it was one of the designers for Star Wars, actually. So the costume designers and like the spaceship designers for Star Wars. And he was talking about when he designs a character or when he designs a spaceship, he never worries about how it'll actually work. He always just figures that out later. But he thinks that if he stays within the realm of reality and what already exists, he's already going to put himself into a box. So in this process, we're just going to assume that like we can figure out how to make anything, and we're going to figure it out as we go. And for right now, we're just going to draw what would be really cool to have. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. So let's say this is like a telescoping neck. I'm thinking it's going to have like fabric that kind of like folds and drapes this. And if we, I mean, it would be easy enough to have it extending with like a pole in the middle or like an attachment onto the head, almost like one of those like head umbrellas. But we would want it to be able to pull in. Maybe there's like an extension, almost like one of these things that extends it down the back, almost like a spine, but it's like an extendable spine. That way, if we close it, it would look like that. And that can hopefully curve up. And then there's just a way to lock that. There we go. All right. And of course, color is a huge part of this. Let's just throw in some spot color really quick. He's less green. It's funny, green was always my favorite color growing up. It's still one of my favorite colors. And we've been doing green a lot these past few weeks. I think the inner body should be almost like a lighter tan. Because the turtles on the inside are very, very light. There we go. Cool. Just to give it some accentuation on the feet and toes, I colored in the nails. Yeah, right? I think turtles are more green. Oh, cool. I'm glad you guys like that one, Kevin. Cool. All right. So there's my turtle costume. We'll see if it gets made. For today's challenge of the day, I want to challenge you guys to draw an outfit of the day drawing of your favorite outfit you wear this week, and then share that with me. So outfit of the day is, they created an acronym for it, OOTD. So if people hashtag it OOTD, that just means outfit of the day. So throughout this week, keep in mind of how you guys are dressing. Even if it's pajamas or something like that, sometimes that's kind of fun to draw too. Yeah, and that'll be your outfit of the day. And I look forward to seeing all the whatever you guys are wearing. What are your quarantine looks? Maybe that should be your outfit of the day, but for your quarantine look. Yeah, I'm excited to see what those look like. Then we're going to yes. Our morning mail. I didn't see Colin. Colin, are you on here right now? Let me know in the comments, Colin, if you're here. But Colin sent me this awesome story that he's working on, and he wanted to share it with the rest of the class. He's usually participating, but sometimes he doesn't always talk. He said, I'm making a new comic called Breakfast. It's about a guy named Esther and a dino named Zoe. Together they search the world for adventures. Actually more like brunch. Zoe will do anything for pizza and canned drinks. No olives on the pizza. And Esther likes nothing, really. All he does is scoop up peanut butter with a spoon and, well, eat it. I miss comic class. This is Colin now talking. I miss comic class. You never see me in the chat because I don't have my own Google account besides my school one. I watch you on my TV. All right, well, hi, Colin. I'm glad you're able to watch. I hope you actually are watching this right now. Colin goes, P.S. In the comic, there will be Easter eggs of everyone's favorite hot dogs. That's awesome. That's really cool, Colin. And I have on this next slide, here are some of his characters for the story. The pink character right there is Dino, Zoe. And it looks like, is the character coming out of another character, Colin? I'm very intrigued about this. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments what you guys think of Colin's work and the comic that he's working on. Let him know what your favorite hot dogs are. Or your favorite toppings, or if you like it on a bread bun instead of like a regular hot dog bun. But yeah, nice job, Colin. I really like it. I really like the colors that you used to make the character come out of, like, right here, that character. How you made this character dinosaur come out of the kid with those like green and the red. It looks very interesting. It looks very I'd like to see it being animated. Really cool. Very nice job though. And if you guys wanted to submit your drawings, noahfontana@gmail.com. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. I see some of you guys already did that too. Awesome. And let me know what we should draw next. Our next episode I'm going to tell you guys in a second. But before that, let me know if you guys want to help support the show. You can comment. There's a link below, and you can donate too. Next class is going to be Mythical Beasts. So I already have some of them written down, the ones that you guys had, and then some of the ones that we didn't get to in previous classes. So we might have enough to get us through the entire class. But if you have any ones that you really, really, really want to draw, comment. And on Thursday, we're going to draw all the different mythical beasts. And these are ones that are not just our own mixtures of animals. These are ones that already exist. So like a griffin, I know we're going to do. And I think we're going to do, let me see. I think we're also doing a seahorse, but with like an actual horse body. Ooh, an episode on dogs. Yeah, we could definitely do an episode drawing on dogs. I'm going to write that one down right now. Good suggestion. Also, if there's anything else that you guys like to draw, let me know, Jet. I want to sign off in a second, but you guys can keep on commenting, or you can send me a message or an email. Midnight drawing. What's a midnight drawing? And but also, I love this Broadway one. This is a really cool class. It wasn't just like drawing characters, but it was drawing like theme things, and it was how to draw it. Yes, Kevin, I do have muscles. That's going to come up, I think, next week. Yes, exactly a week from today, we're going to be drawing muscles. So stay tuned for that. Seahorse is a hippocampus. Jet, I don't know what midnight drawing means, but I'm loved here. Cool. All right, and I just got your email, Colin. Okay, keep on commenting what you guys like. I'm gonna sign off now, and I will see you guys on Thursday. We're gonna draw some mythical beasts. It's gonna be awesome. Bye.